The Canceled podcast is back, and we are getting some updates on some drama that has been going down, because the Brooke situation isn't the only thing that's happened since they've made an episode. There's been a whole Alyssa Violet situation. So let's get into what has been said. At midnight, Brooke and Tana posted a new Canceled podcast episode where they talked at length about how people thought there was beef between them since Brooke was canceled for her resurfaced past tweets. The way Tana spoke in the last episode left some wondering the future of the Canceled podcast, as it seemed unclear whether or not Brooke would be coming back soon. Though Tana did clear it up in the comments, just based off the podcast alone, she got a lot of backlash because people were unsure how to feel. And Tana was talking about it in this new podcast that she thought she had made it clear Brooke would only be gone for one episode.
I'm like, do you see her? See, there she is, y'all.
Yeah, squash the rumors. I am not yet kicked off the Canceled podcast.
I thought in the previous episode that I made what I was saying abundantly clear, and not to go like all third person narcissist on you. When has Tana Mongeau ever said anything and made it abundantly clear? All I was trying to say in that episode was, I'm giving Brooke the week. Like, I want Brooke to have the week, obviously. Yeah. So then Paige subbed in for that episode, and all of the comments are, we want Brooke, you're replacing Brooke, you just jumped ship so fast, yada yada yada. And it was literally just one episode.
I will say though that the way that Tana talked in this episode about how she shot an episode with Paige and Amari while she was away on vacation recently, but didn't put the episode out because she thought it would fuel the speculation even more that there was drama between her and Brooke, or that Tana was just not supporting Brooke anymore. I think that is proof that Brooke was going to be gone for more than one episode. Not that she was kicked off the podcast, but it was definitely clear that this demand for Brooke to come back and address things on the podcast is the reason why she's back. I think at the time that Tana sat down to film that episode without Brooke, that she did not know when Brooke would be returning. Because obviously she's saying she filmed an episode again without Brooke, but she just didn't post it because everybody wanted Brooke.
I was just in Europe, and a couple days ago, I shot an episode with Paige and Amari, and I said everything that I'm about to re-say again. But then obviously I flew home, and I was like, why am I going to put out another episode that's just gonna like fuel these rumors more and like get a bunch more hate?
And it did sound like she was just so surprised people didn't think that she had Brooke's back in this situation. But I mean, that podcast episode she did without her, truly, just like listening to it back, like it really wasn't clear that Brooke was only gone for one episode. And it did leave people with lots of room to speculate on what the future of the podcast was going to be.
I am alone on this couch. Brooke is not here with us today, and I want to be abundantly clear that that was my decision. I'm hoping Brooke is taking the time right now to reflect and grow and learn in a lot of the ways that I did. I know back in the day I had to take the time to grow and learn, and that's exactly what I want for Brooke in this situation. But at the same time, I am very shocked and hurt by a lot of those tweets. I think that I've seen a lot of feedback just in general, and I know where I want the future of this podcast to go, and I will always read your guys' comments. I will always be a chronically online, and I see every TikTok and everything everyone is saying, and I don't want to be any further part of any problem.
Now, in this episode, Brooke does take accountability for the things that she says. They do get into that subject. She talks about her past. She admits that she needed to be held accountable.
Obviously, I appreciate everyone who's holding me accountable. I know how horrible it was. You know what I mean? And I knew how horrible it was even before it, blew up in my face. But obviously, it's like a just situation, and I felt bad that so many people were hurt by it, but also I needed to be held accountable.
She says she doesn't expect people to understand or know that she has changed, and that she had been actively working on herself since she moved from Arizona to California.
And I wanted to make sure that people knew, and of course I know how much I've changed and how much my thought processes have changed since I've grown up and got away from Arizona and my family and stuff, and I can't expect everybody else to know that. I was a Republican or whatever. I didn't know anything about politics until I was an adult. You know what I mean? I didn't know anything about what I was talking about, but I wanted people to think I knew what I was talking about.
Me every day.
That's the thing. It's it comes down to what a common theme on Canceled anyway. It's just my need for validation and attention and people to think I'm smart and You know what I mean? So like that was like kind of what it all stemmed from. And like I didn't just now start doing the work. You know what I mean? I've learned so much like in the time, especially since I've been in LA, because obviously like I'm ashamed that it took me that long. And like I was like an adult when I really started to like open my like or understand everybody's different perspectives. But I did. And so, you know.
But in this conversation, Tana then circles back to reiterate that her and Brooke were all good and that they are not fighting and, you know, they're friends and it's not something that people should be talking about anymore.
I feel like there's a lot that I've learned from this situation and it makes me think very, very differently.
And we are more than friends.
Tana just had to keep, you know, throwing it in there to remind everyone because she was just very much bothered by those that had assumed that there was some drama. But Brooke continued to later on apologize for her words hurting others and wanted people to know that she wasn't trying to just move on, forget this whole thing, and it wasn't something that she was trying to brush under the rug and was taking the situation seriously.
I don't want to pretend that didn't happen. I did, you know what I mean? Like I did say those things. I did grow up that way. Like, and I'm glad we're out of there. You know what I mean? I'm glad I'm past it. And I missed you. I'm happy to be back on the couch. I don't want anybody to think that I'm just pretending nothing happened. I will take accountability as long as I need to take accountability. And that is honestly forever. True. Like I genuinely am so sorry to everybody who like was affected. Obviously, like specifically like the tweets were targeted towards like black people. And obviously we have a lot of black girls who listen to Canceled. And I feel like really like sick over the fact that they think that that's my character. So I just hope moving forward, like you can see that's not who I am.
They end up talking about how the internet has been reacting to news stories recently, especially when someone is canceled, how it then becomes so much more than the issue at hand and people will chime in to say, oh, well, now that we don't like this person anymore, it's a safe space to say, I don't like their hair or I don't like this about them. I don't like that. But Brooke wanted to make it clear that, you know, as Tana was pointing this out, they didn't want to come off as victims or anything.
Just the way society isn't moving on with like hate to women as of late.
I know, but I also
like,
don't want to make it like we are the victims because, well, especially in this episode.
Mean us.
I know, but I'm just to be clear.
Yeah.
I know that I am not the victim in this situation.
Brooke does later admit that her and Tana have been part of the problem though lately with bringing hate to others, and they talked about how going forward they want to be more careful with the way they're using their platform as to not weaponize their audience.
Yeah, we have been a part of the bigger problem, so that's a conversation to have. We were being the accountability police.
Yeah.
For like we were just really going high and mighty, just canceling people left and right. It's like we reached so many girls, like I mean, obviously more than just girls, but like
young girls, gays and theys, young people, and it's
with
like,
that level of influence, like we should be trying to at least like do something right,
better, and
not be bullies.
I think it's like expressing things that happen to you or commenting on some wrongdoing, okay, but I think that, in my opinion, we definitely teetered over the line, especially with the like Alyssa and Clinton.
Yeah,
and I want to dial it back a bit. It's not that I'm changing the entire format of this show, but I'm definitely going to dial it back and use it for a little more good and like be more mindful of lobbying hate.
Brooke goes on to say that she actually did feel bad for the hate that Alyssa Violet was receiving after her and Tana talked about her on the podcast, and once again admitted that her and Tana have been part of this problem.
I truly did feel bad about like the amount of hate that Alyssa Violet got. I actually like I did, and I told that to her because it's like again like,
once she sees the viral take, you can either choose to grow and learn from it or not. Again, she obviously sees all of the like takes and she can either learn from that and her wrongs. Like I don't want to keep being a part of the problem of seeing like beating into the ground that's just hating on women when I'm like all for not doing that.
Yeah,
like
but like we have to take accountability. Like we have been doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the most valuable lessons I've learned recently, that I just want to be a little more careful with this
and to
platform.
be honest, I feel like I got like a little bit too confident there for a second.
Now, the thing about Alyssa is that though she did get a lot of hate because Tana and Brooke did talk about her on the podcast, it's true that a lot of that was kind of brought on by herself, though, as she was the one that started this drama in the first place. She came to Jason Nash's defense because she saw Tana make a TikTok throwing some shade at him, and she was calling out Tana, and it did seem like she actually did have this calculated plan for this drama. Like, it was kind of all sort of this big joke to her, because recently she did address it in a YouTube video, and when she was talking about it in the YouTube YouTube video, she was talking about how she's been getting all this hate and how she's been feeling about it. But now it's come out that it wasn't even her own words she was saying in that video, and that she was basically verbatim saying exactly what Brooke had said in a previous old video that she made when she was addressing the whole Mindy drama with Tana a couple years ago. And even if you don't know what I'm talking about with the Mindy drama, basically Tana and Brooke got into some drama a couple years ago. Brooke made a video where she was talking about the hate that she was getting. She was addressing the situation, and apparently Alyssa just word for word said what Brooke said in that video, and she said it on purpose. So I'm just seeing this and I'm like, so like, was this all just like a big joke to her or what? Because the account Spill Some Tea With Me on TikTok exposed the fact that Alyssa basically says what Brooke says in her video, and Alyssa commented on it and said, "Took you long enough." So here's the side-by-side of her copying, seemingly on purpose.
As much as I would love to ignore this entire situation, put my Instagram on private, turn my comments off, and hope it all blows over, I really just don't feel comfortable doing that, because I know that if I were to stay silent, then I'm validating everything that she says in that story and making it true, and I'm not willing to do that.
As much as I'd love to ignore this entire situation, turn my comments off, and hope that this all blows over, I really don't feel comfortable doing that, because if I were to stay silent, then it's validating what everybody's saying and have been saying and
I've since received thousands and thousands of comments, DMs, TikToks, tweets, you name it, basically telling me I'm just a terrible person, a terrible friend, and believe me, I'm seeing all of it and I hear
this. I've received thousands of comments, DMs, TikToks, tags, etc., pretty much telling me how awful of a human being I am, and believe me, I'm seeing it all, and I have.
So crazy to think that she commented and was like, "Took you long enough." Like, it just feels so calculated, and like it really is just like this calculated joke. But still though, despite Alyssa bringing on a lot of the hate for herself, the Cancel Girls clearly do feel like they need to switch up how they've been discussing people on the podcast, though they did say that this didn't mean they were never going to call anyone out. They're just trying to be more mindful going forward of how they're using their platform. But as of right now, that is what these two had to say in Brooke's return episode. There was a lot in this almost hour-and-a-half episode, but let me know what you guys think about some of the key moments from this episode. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.